Welcome to another episode of Sparkcast. And we have our second Freeform episode where each of us hosts chooses one Transformer related topic to talk about for 5 minutes. Who would like to go first? Thomas, would you like to tell us about something related that you wanted to talk about that you didn't like about Transformers?
Oh, well, we're really just gonna jump right into it, huh?
Does it have to be something we didn't like? I didn't catch
No,
that
no,
part.
because he mentioned it previously, like
Oh.
that he yeah. Well, anyway, I'll let him talk for himself.
So I'm gonna share an image with you guys, and I'm gonna try my best to describe it. It's from the Transformers comic books, and I've mentioned it before. I don't know. I don't read comic books really or at all, and I really don't know anything about the Transformers comic books at all. Sean has tried to get me into them, and I'm wondering if this would be something that he would be familiar with. But I am definitely going to need an explanation on what I came across the other day. I believe this is Scorponok, and he decided to give himself a womb and make himself pregnant.
This
And
is
I need to know what is going on in Transformers comic books. Like how explain this to me, please, Sean.
So
how recently did this
in
come
the
out?
IDW Transformers Comics, I don't think the Transformers race can give quote birth unquote or have new created. They've lost that technology. So this might be a story. If I read this, if it's before the First Strike crossover, which I just finished reading this week, I don't remember it unless this is. Yeah, I don't remember this for some reason.
Okay. All
I
right.
do remember that it might have been during that. It might have been a few years ago though, because it is talking about spark splicing. So, did you read this actual comic, or are you only just presenting on
Absolutely
with this
not.
paper?
Absolutely not.
You know what this looks
In the
like?
comics,
So let me better describe it. So I said it was It was a panel of Scorponok with like a womb and a baby. He's pregnant. I mean, there's a baby inside his chest, basically, in some kind of container built into his chest. Floating in like amniotic fluids. But it looks like a human baby. I don't know what this form, if they consider it a human or not, but it's definitely humanoid. I mean, any regular person would look at it and say that's a human baby. He just seems to be proud of it. So, Sean, I wanted you to kind of explain it to me because this is actually kind of recent. I think this happened in 2018
so
or
this might have happened
2016.
after the Hasbro crossovers.
Yeah, so I didn't think I would have actually been surprised if this is something that you knew completely about. You were basically on the right track. That's basically just of what I got from it was that so Scorponok came up with the idea of basically creating organic life and splicing it with a spark and raising the humanoid and creating multiple of them and having them procreate and reproduce.
Thomas,
Yep.
I was too literally after the Hasbro crossover. The next thing I'm supposed to read after Transformers versus Visionaries is Lost Light 13 to 18, and this is in Lost Light 14. So if you just waited another 2 weeks,
this is Lost Light 15. Yes.
because I was finishing up the Hasbro crossovers before I went back to the spin-offs before I went back to Transformers to end it. But
Well, it's your fault. I've been sitting on this for like a month and a half when I first came across it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know anything more than that. That's basically what's going on. Like to me, it was just like, what is going on? They explain it, but it's still just kind of like this is weird. So it is still kind of weird even after the explanation because you're basically creating humans just to farm them. Essentially, you're gonna raise them and have them reproduce, and then kill them off to take the sparks that they've
Oh
fostered.
God, no! I thought they were gonna raise them. I didn't realize it was that horrifying. That they were gonna start killing babies. Jesus.
So
The
yeah,
TF Wiki
this
site.
is just like, I'm just like, man, I don't think I'm missing out not reading the comics. This is kind of wild. There's something else wild that happens with this that I guess I'm not gonna spoil. It doesn't just end there with Scorponok. It goes a little bit further.
Oh my God! There's a link here to something called the Tree Cons, which are Transformer trees.
All right. Well,
Wait, that
we're
sounds like
gonna
a group
we're gonna let
reference.
that statement be the period of my segment.
So
We can
there's
move on.
a year or two prior to this issue. I don't know why he needs to do this because in the Grimlock trilogy, they actually discover at the end, I think, of the second miniseries, all these sparks on Cybertron that are hidden under the surface, and they find like close to 1 million of them. I think Starscream might have covered it up because they were worried about what other forces who would find this would try to do with them. So I don't think the rest of the Transformer universe knows about these sparks. Anyway,
All right. Who's next?
I like the reactions of the characters in the comic, though. They're like, disgusting. It's a baby. It's purple.
So, do you want to go to my good comic from here, Thomas?
I think I'm over Transformers comics. I've had
Oh,
enough.
come on. This is from
Okay.
Dreamwave. So, this is back
Ooh,
in the day.
all right.
So, if you click that link I sent you and scroll past the Megatron story and go to Transformers Energon Perspective. I was cataloging all of my Transformer comics and putting them from a long box into two short boxes and then seeing, oh, what am I missing? Did I ever not buy everything? And then I also sold all my IDW comics except the trilogy of prequels called Monstrosity and all those. And I was just like, you know what? This is too much. I'm getting rid of these IDW ones because they're just the earliest tales. But I did recall this. For some reason, this story stood out as I was looking through, and I was like, I actually remember this story. So I thought, since it's memorable, I'll bring it up on the podcast.
So what are we looking at?
So for background, this was a summer special that was made only 2 months before they closed their doors forever due to bankruptcy, because they were not paying their artists and writers. This was meant to be a short story for all the Transformers, as well as a possible new Beast Wars that never came to be because, the company folded. The first story is the G1 stories and shows how Megatron survived into the main story that was going on at the time. And then there's the story I'm going to go over, followed by a Beast Wars story, which never went anywhere. The story we have here is. So the story is called Perspective, and it's actually written by Simon Furman. And it's kind of funny. I don't know who Snowcat, Slugslinger, and Sharkticon are, but basically Megatron Galvatron, because he's designed like Galvatron, but they're calling him Megatron. I don't know. It's been a long time. Basically, he's called forth his subordinates, and he's like, what happened? You guys all went on these missions, and you all failed. And so the reason this story is hilarious is, and also pretty good, is because it starts with Snowcat, and he's telling the story about how he failed, but what he's stating is not actually what's happening with the visuals. So basically, he's covering up how he failed to Megatron, and all three of them are basically just lying to Megatron's face about how they failed and it wasn't their fault entirely.
So these are all three. Oh yeah, they are Decepticons. Snowcat.
Yeah, so they're all tell him these stories, and Megatron is like skeptic at the end of every single story, just repeating their last line. And the story just basically ends with him, because their ranks are low, choosing the guy who lied the best as his next second in command. And I just thought it was a good story, and it's just a fun Transformers story. It's 10 pages, and if you can get yourself the 20th anniversary Transformers Summer Special from Dreamwave. 20th anniversary is not actually in the title. I'm sure you could find this anywhere. It's not worth anything. I don't think many of the Dreamwave comics are, but it's worth a read. So Thomas, you should go and read it if you want a fun, done-in-one story that will not make your brain go crazy.
I will take note of that.
And you too, Charlie, if you just want to read a mini Transformers comic that isn't a massively headache-inducing child's book. Oh, I forgot there's also a Robots in Disguise comic in here too, because they were thinking about making a comic series for that one. That's the one where the anime one from like 2001 that's just blah. This whole summer special, I don't remember the other three stories at all, but just looking at this cover made me remember this story specifically. That's why I chose it, and everyone should go out and read it. The end.
All right, Charlie.
Yeah. So, what about you, Charlie? You've decided to choose a non-comic book title for this one, right?
Yeah, I'm not really into the comic book scene either. Basically, I was interested in an NES game that came out in 1986, only in Japan. It's called Transformers Mystery of Convoy, or Convoy no Nozo, hilariously spelled with an M in the romanization on the Japanese cover.
Oh, I see
So they
that there.
spelled it correctly in katakana as Convoy. Actually, it's Convoy. But I'll give them a pass because most languages have a strange trade-off between B's and V's, and but it's just strange that they decided to put an M there. Whoever translated that. Well, anyway, this is an NES game that came out in 1986 and appeared on the Wii Virtual Console again in 2008, apparently. But the game never debuted in the US. So I wanted to check out the playthrough of it and just see what it looks like. And there was little wonder why that it never came out in the US. Well, the game probably would have just been a complete money grab. I mean, most games take some time to finish, and I mean, but more other games have more going on than this one. It's like this one can be played from start to finish in 15 minutes,
Oh my god,
and it
no.
didn't
You mean
seem
15
like
years? It's hard
yeah.
as hell.
No, the guy played through it in 15 minutes. It doesn't look hard at all. It doesn't
Oh, it
look it
is.
has
No,
enough
you need to
enemies.
play this. It is really hard. You can't go through it without save stating.
It just didn't look like he was any kind of game savant or anything. Maybe he did save state it and like do like a replay of it or
Or he might
something.
just be
Who
good at it. Because I
knows?
know when I played it, I kept dying all the time because planes would just show up before you could react and kill you when
Oh,
you're
there was
driving around.
hardly anything in this one. I don't know if you're talking about the same game,
Yeah,
but
it's the same.
this
It's
one
the
is
one where you're Ultra
kind of
Magnus,
empty.
and to move forward, you have to turn into a car and you're into your truck. But then you have to turn back out if you want to actually shoot somebody.
You don't even have to do that. He just jumped over all the places where you need to do that pretty much. He just stayed on the upper platforms.
This looks
You if
like
you go below, then you have to change into the 18-wheeler thing.
Yeah. Did you see the bosses where instead of actual bosses, they're just the Decepticon
Yeah.
symbol shooting at you?
That's exactly what I was gonna mention. It's like, okay, like 3 or 4 boss battles. I think there's maybe 12 levels or something, but
Hmm.
I think about 4 of them are literally just the Decepticons emblem with some type of fireballs or energy charges coming out of them. I mean, there's no animation.
Yeah.
Another is just an inanimate, like, Decepticon planet with unidentifiable thingies popping out that look like cute little robot rabbit balls. They just
Mhm.
don't like
And,
they're related to Transformers.
and all the bosses are just at the right side of the screen,
Yep,
moving up and down and
up
shoot
and
at
down.
you.
Like Pong. It's like basically they took a robot shape and it's just Pong and there's little dots flying off. It's yeah, that's what I was like, how can you not beat this game in 15 minutes? Like the
No,
guy
it's
played
if you
through
actually
it in
try to
like
play
15
it, it's
minutes.
really hard. Like
Okay.
because of the way that the fast the enemies come at you. So you're always kind of like dying a lot. You have to get into the you have to like play it a lot before you get into it and
you
learn how to
know it,
play it.
yeah, and know the patterns and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm watching it, and it's like a long play. And generally, with the long plays on YouTube, the people who put them up, they they know this game like the back of their hand. So like some of the movements and the way he's predicting where enemies are going to be, you can kind of tell that yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Because it's not a fast game. It's not like Mega Man. I can kind of go into Game Savant on like Mega Man 3 because I've played it so many times and just be firing like crazy, sliding under things,
Yeah,
jumping
yeah.
over
So this
things.
one
This
doesn't
was not
seem
fast-paced at
outrageous. This
all.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Me personally, for like compared to like some other games of the time, I don't. This right now doesn't seem like it's as
It's just so threadbare to me. I mean, it's
It
just a
does seem
few
pretty
random
empty. Like
Yeah.
floating flying
not much is
balls,
going on.
Well, guess what? If you
gumballs
beat
with
the game,
spikes.
you can play it again as Rodimus Prime or Hot Rod because
And
the game comes out before the movie, so it's called Mystery of Convoy because he's not there. Because apparently you're supposed to wonder where he is because they didn't know the script of the movie, so they don't know he's dead either.
okay.
I'm just like, what?
I don't
So
even. Is this even supposed? This isn't even Convoy. It's like he transforms. Well, the color scheme is
it's
all
Ultra
off.
Magnus.
Oh, it's Ultra Magnus.
You play as
Okay.
Ultra Magnus, and if you beat the game, you can play the game all over again as Hot Rod or Rodimus.
Okay. All right.
Is that what the deal was at the end? I didn't realize you were a different guy. I
Was
swore
Ultra
you're just
Magnus that popular, or
No,
they
it's
just decided to go with him because they thought
I
he
feel
would
like
be popular?
yeah, they thought he would. Japan was all advertising it, thinking he was the next commander because they didn't know what was going to happen, and that's why like Galvatron shows up working for Megatron in the toys because they didn't realize that he was Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of craziness, but I remember playing this game way back in college, and I just remember it being because I was like, "What? This exists? I must play it." And I remember it being funny, but also hard. But I'm also like, I've never played it again since, and that was almost 20 years ago. So,
did you see the little bat that turns into a cassette?
is he one of the bosses?
No, he's not a boss. He's just an enemy, and you only see him like literally like 3 times in the whole
Oh,
game. But
okay.
I think it's supposed to be Rat Bat from Generation One.
That's
But
funny. I don't remember all that.
how many Transformers actually turn into cassettes?
Oh
Like
no.
Ravage cassette, and I mean, how many cassette Transformers are
I think
there?
there's like 7 for Soundwave and like 4 for Blaster because they introduced some new ones for Soundwave like in the 3rd year.
I feel like they're not just all animals either. It seems like those little tiny Transformers, can't think of their name right now.
Oh, so do you want to know something hilarious about this game? It has a
What?
legacy in Japan, and about 3 to 4 years ago, they actually made a chibi anime Transformers called Transformers Mystery of Convoy, and features chibi versions in 3D, and it's just these shorts of the Transformers having like talking or doing little mini adventures and stuff. It's just a comedy thing.
Just sitting
I
around
don't
the
know why they called it
kotatsu?
Mystery of Convoy it, uh,
Is he
at
in it?
all. What?
Is
Oh,
he in
because
it?
I don't know. And as also, I think they were re-releasing this as a Cell game or a remake as a Japanese Cell game. Maybe that's why it was also called that. I really don't know. I just remember I was like, why is this coming out as an anime with chibi Transformers? It's really ridiculous. I remember watching it, and it's it's really hard to find because nobody cares. But so
Yeah.
yeah, it lives
That's
on
that's
or tried to live
hardcore
on.
otakudom. There's always somebody who likes something in Japan and they have to like keep it going. It's just so
Hmm.
weird when I find out what things are still perpetuated, but that's a random one. I wouldn't have any pleasant memories about this game if I were a child at
Well,
that
luckily
time.
it wasn't released in America, so you don't have to have that possibility occur.
Yeah, they didn't want to get sued. Somebody would definitely blame them for some kind of seizure or something by,
I
just
mean,
Hmm.
I
like
don't think we were
overstimulating the game.
spare completely, right? I mean, because there is still a terrible NES Transformers game, right?
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think there is, yeah.
so we just got our own poison. That's all.
yeah. Oh, it was Q Transformers. So it was a storyline for Q Transformers action figure line. I can't remember if it pokes fun at Transformers lore or not. I know it took me forever to find, and when I saw some, I was just like, yeah.
This game was hella unexciting. I mean, this wasn't like Twin Bee or Gradius or anything, or there's all kinds of crap just flying loose on the screen. This is a calm, solemn battle.
Yeah. It's one of those games where the boss fights are easier than the levels themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you know that the last level or the next to last level has one of those mystery pathways where you know how in Super Mario there's three pathways to go, and if you go to the top, it goes, and it's the right way, it goes bing ding, and if you go the wrong way, it goes blur, and you have to go through the entire thing again.
It
Yep.
doesn't do that on the original one, like yeah.
The
There's no
original game,
sound
I
on the
don't believe
original.
had the sounds. They added the sounds in All Stars.
So basically, that level for Transformers is the same way. You have to know that you're supposed to walk the top path, then the bottom, then the middle, and then bam, now you can actually go to the last level.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just keep repeating the level over and over again.
Yep.
But it only happens right there at the end of the level, and you have to just know that. Like, there's no hints whatsoever, no sounds, nothing.
That's an NES staple. They've done that in so many games. It's like, just figure out the pattern. Okay, got it. And you just remember. That's what
Yeah.
you do with side scrollers or vertical scrollers. Like, yeah.
All
So
right.
I wonder if that one guy ever played it. If you guys ever watched Game Center CX, I watched the first 2 seasons of that. It's that guy in Japan who he's stuck in a room and he has to play a Famicom game until he can beat it.
Oh, that
And
Yeah,
sounds
in
I've seen some stuff from him.
and
Yep.
in the intermission of every episode is him touring a different video game store or an arcade to show people in Japan where some of these places are, since a lot of them have closed down or they're only in certain areas and that kind of thing. It's kind of cool. But they've only ever released the first 2 seasons in America. They've never released any more, even though it's had 10 seasons.
I think they should put him in a room with Sega Genesis and Shaq Fu.
Oh, God. But yeah, I just remember it. That was fun to watch those. Like, I have to see if he ever did that one. But yeah, so that was our look into random Transformers topics. Anything else left to say, Thomas?
I'm ready to move on, take a shower,
Okay.
get this
Scramble Ultra
Scorponok
Magnus.
filth out of my mind.
Okay. Charlie?
Are you Ultra Magnus, Thomas? Scramble Ultra Magnus?
No, I'm not
It
Ultra
says that at
Magnus.
the end of the game for some reason. Why do they always that's one of those popular English words that makes it into Japanese. There's so many scramble things.
What happens at the end of the game? Do you actually find Convoy/Optimus, or does it just say, like, congratulations, you won, Peace Galaxy restored?
Yeah, it's like that's what's at the end. At the very end it says scramble Ultra Magnus. Okay.
So you didn't watch a second playthrough with Rodimus?
No. Actually, it showed like a clip of the next, like of just stage one again, and I didn't see anything different. I just thought you were playing as the same. I don't know if they changed the color of the sprite. It just looked like you were starting over. I was like, okay, and then the person quit right after that.
Oh,
Like they didn't
yeah.
even play
I don't
through
know
the
if
first
there's a
level
better
again.
ending if you beat it a second time, because most people, don't. So,
That's what they used to do in the old days, though. Just loop you right back around to the beginning. Okay, you play it again. Something different might just happen, or not.
thanks for tuning in with this episode, and hopefully you'll listen to us next week when we reveal something to Thomas from a storybook that is something out of his nightmares that doesn't have to do with purple babies.
Uh, I'm calling out sick.
All right. Good night, everyone.